Hi, people. This is DJ.
This is Ish.
And this is
Season
Season 3
3
of Pero Let Me Tell You. So, there's no room for loving. Stop that pushing, shoving. Yeah. Don't want to know about that love thing. Welcome, everybody, to episode 109.
Hello.
Our continued coronavirus, suite of episodes.
I know, but this time we're recording this we're Zooming together. So I can actually see you now.
Who's zooming?
Who's zooming? Who?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wasn't Zoom also a show on PBS?
Yes, it was. It was like the electric company.
Right, but it was like in the 70s, right?
Yeah, like the electric company.
Right. Right. Because I know in our time in the 80s, It was contact is the na-na, is the where everything happens.
3, 2, 1, contact.
Contact.
Aw.
3, 2, 1, contact.
I hadn't thought about contact in years.
And then, of course, there was just take a look. It's in a book, a reading rainbow.
Oy, excuse me.
¿Cómo se llama?
LeVar Burton.
And welcome, everybody, to episode 109. I told you that LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton. He's one of these people that flies totally under the radar, but he has done 3 iconic roles. He's been in 3 iconic projects, and that's Roots, Star Trek, and Reading Rainbow. I mean,
true.
If you want to talk about iconic, each one of these are iconic, and he's been. He wasn't the star of Star Trek, but
but he was the main. He was one of the main cast, right.
Right. That's an ensemble cast,
right?
But I mean, he was the main star of Roots. Obviously, he was a host of Reading Rainbow, and he's one of these people that he flies totally under the radar. You know what I mean?
But he's such a big part of pop culture.
Yeah, because he's been in 3 of the most iconic, and in different genres, right? Because Roots is for children,
Roots is
Star
not,
Trek.
Roots is not for children.
I'm sorry, Reading Rainbow's for children. Roots obviously was very big. It was the most watched miniseries.
It was, I think,
for years.
Yeah, probably until the end of MASH.
Right, but it held so many records, and
yeah.
I remember. Roots aired in the 70s. I remember even in the 90s, people were still talking about Roots.
Oh, yeah. They even, I think they redid it a couple of years back, too. Yeah.
They did, but it had such a, extreme,
cultural impact.
Cultural impact and legacy. Yeah. And then, obviously, there's Star Trek, which, I mean...
we don't have to say anything.
It's for sci-fi people, but it's also mainstream, so, yeah.
LeVar Burton.
Yeah, I mean, he should have more. Does he have a Lifetime Emmy? I feel he should.
He probably does.
Should have
at the very least, a daytime Emmy, because Reading Rainbow for children's programming.
No, but I believe that he deserves a Lifetime.
Yeah. But I'm saying I have to assume that he, at the very least, has a Lifetime Emmy for his work with children's television.
I think we should get this going. We should have a campaign to get him an Emmy.
Emmy for LeVar.
Because, I mean, if anybody's deserving, is him. So
that's true. Very true.
Anyway, so another week of coronavirus out there.
And now, if the coronavirus wasn't enough, now we also have to worry about, a polar vortex, murder hornets.
A polar vortex.
Yeah, I think I saw the other day.
I don't know about the polar vortex.
Yeah, so I think there's a polar...
Lo último que nos faltaba.
I think there's a polar vortex that's making its way, and I think it's by this weekend, and there could be frost seen as far as Georgia.
Oh, man, not down here? No.
Not down here, pero still, I mean, coño, so that's un polar vortex casi en junio.
No, because, hold on, I got my garden in check, so I don't want to polar vortex.
That's true. And then, of course, the murder hornets, which are here, and they decided to kill the bees. Although, I saw something today that I think will make you very happy.
The bees are fighting back?
The bees are not fighting back, but do you know what there's a video of, and I'll send it to you.
Honey to the bee, that's you for me.
No, you know what bug actually can take on the murder hornets?
Oh, don't tell me the praying mantis.
Yes. It is the praying mantis, and I saw the video. I'll send you the video of it. Like the praying mantis just grabbing the damn hornet and just eating its head, and I'm just like, good.
Zorak is nothing to be played with.
I'm saying.
You know, I've been a fan of Zorak for many years now, for going on 20 years.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's Zorak versus
the murder hornets.
Oh, I really hope our listeners know who Zorak is.
The murder hornets, or as I saw on Facebook today, the Baskin bees.
So Zorak, for our listeners who don't know, it's this old cartoon. It's probably from the 60s?
Space Ghost is either from the late 60s or early 70s, yeah.
That Zorak was a villain in the cartoon series of Space Ghost, right?
Yep.
And aside from when we knew him, I'm going to go ahead and say that Space Ghost has not been one of the most famous cartoon franchises.
Well known, but not iconic, shall we say?
Maybe within
certain circles, right?
Certain circles, but it's not a mainstream cartoon from the 60s that is legendary and everybody knows and had a cultural impact.
Right.
Until the 90s, Cartoon Planet came out with this kind of talk show called Space Ghost Coast to Coast on the Cartoon Network.
It was wonderful.
And then Zorak was on it, and so was Brack, and it was just, I can't really explain it, right? How do you even explain that show?
Basically, they took old footage and they had them on a talk show stage, and then they would have celebrity guests coming in via monitor. So the celebrities would film their interview, but the characters weren't necessarily paying any attention to the celebrities. They would just kind of do whatever they were going to do, and then the celebrities would be talking about their project. And so it was almost built around, I guess the scripts were eventually built around the celebrity interviews on how to make it as irrelevant as possible, or irreverent as possible.
Do you remember the Metallica interview?
Yes.
That every time they would talk about something, Zorak would go, and you blew up. Yeah, because we were about to go on stage, and they're like, and you blew up. And I'm like, it's Metallica. It's a huge band.
No, it was an honor to be on that show. I mean, it was big names were going on the show. Yeah, the beginning of Adult Swim really is Coast to Coast.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I would say.
Yep.
And I remember I used to watch that, and what was it, Mystery Science Theater
3000.
Yeah. Do they still play that?
They actually brought Mystery Science Theater back as a Netflix original.
Because I feel that has a fan base.
Yeah. So they brought it back as a Netflix show. I think it's about maybe 10 episodes that they've done so far.
So I want to shift gears a little bit on something we've talked about, especially in the last few weeks, that everybody is really at the peak of cabin fever. And, we've already been at this for 2 months and we're working from home and things are still not open.
There's murder hornets now coming.
There's murder hornets now to make matters worse. So, and more, I feel we're seeing cases of people, for better or for worse, who've had it and are protesting against these stay-at-home orders. And there's some that I definitely sympathize with, and then there's others that I want to
bash in the head with.
Well, no, because I'm very restrained.
Oh, sorry, that's how I feel about it. Sorry,
those type of comments, but. So that's something I want to focus on. One of the things that I find very interesting is that, and first I want to talk about, the frustration. As I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, or maybe last week, I understand, and I think we all understand, the economy has to get up and open up
suffering.
again.
It's suffering. Nobody's going to argue that. Nobody's going to argue.
Neiman Marcus filed for bankruptcy today, and they think that
Crew this week too.
J. Crew already did that. If they don't do something soon, even Macy's can file for bankruptcy, because these department stores were already bleeding before this happened. So this is the nail in the last nail in the coffin, right?
Yep.
So, and as months and months pass by, people that are not working, their savings, let's say they had some type of savings where they can, pay for their rent and pay for their necessities.
Yeah, they have to pay for essentials. They're not going out and buying cashmere.
Eventually, that's going to run out, because as we know, unemployment, yes, the numbers are now higher than they were during the Great Depression.
Are they really?
But yeah, they are. They were already suppressed in Great Depression, and 1 in 5 Americans right now has filed on unemployment or it is on unemployment. But as we hear on the news constantly, all these states are lagging in unemployment. Florida is on the bottom of that list.
So that's not a real number.
Right, that unemployment, they still haven't processed these unemployment claims.
Right.
So yeah, you could be eligible for unemployment. Heck, I'm eligible for unemployment. But if you're not getting it because the state is backed up, well, you know what? Your bills aren't stopping at the end of the month. So I understand that, and I understand that people are dying to get back to work. I specifically had a little bit of an outrage with a judge earlier this week.
Specifically, you with a judge, like you had a personal interaction.
No, it was on TV.
Okay.
It was on TV. But like me, like I a lot of people were outraged, but I'm talking about me here.
Right.
So earlier this week, there was a case, going on with this whole thing that people need to get back to work.
Right.
There was this lady in Dallas who opened up her salon.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And she was arrested, which I thought was really
weird
odd.
That she didn't
I thought it was
fine.
really odd. I don't know if maybe she was a second, like if this wasn't her first violation.
Okay, she may have gotten a warning already or something like that.
She may have gotten a warning.
Okay.
But I would have assumed that these type of infractions were dealt with like a fine.
Mm-hmm.
But she was arrested, right?
Okay.
And when she went up in front of the judge, I don't know, trying to be an activist from the bench at that point, which that's something that, as somebody who practiced law for several years, really bothers me, but that's another story. The judge said that he would, drop charges and let her go if she apologized to the court for being selfish.
Well, that seems like I mean, if I was that lady, I'd be like, okay.
No, absolutely not. I would have done what she did. She said, I need to feed my family. I don't have unemployment. I don't have savings. I think that the savings that she had, she paid it to her employees. And I am not going to apologize and say that I was being selfish because I was trying to make a living for my family. That is an example. The judge should have either let her go or done whatever. But don't make the woman apologize and say that she was being selfish. She needed to say that she was being selfish, right? When the woman was trying to make a living, right? So that's one of those examples that is bullshit. Because, I'm totally for the social distancing. And I believe that a salon, I don't feel comfortable going to a salon or a barber yet, even if they open them tomorrow. And God knows my hair, is out of whack. But I don't feel comfortable going to one yet, right? Because, you really can't social distance in a salon, right? So I understand the necessity for potentially keeping it closed, but also don't make that person seem like a pariah or a criminal because they opened up their salon to put food on the table of their kids and say that they were being selfish. And that is a part that got a lot of people angry, that this judge was like, oh, you need to tell everybody you were being selfish. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I would have done the same thing, because it's like, you know what? Don't make me look like a horrible person because
I'm trying to pay my bills.
Because I'm trying to pay my bills. We're all desperate because this is a situation. This doesn't have a right or wrong answer, right? Because yes, you still need the social distancing and we're not out of the woods yet, but what are we going to do with this other problem now that surfaced?
Yeah, we can't just be in our house all for like the rest of our lives either.
Right. So this doesn't have a right answer, a right or wrong answer. So for people that are trying to make an honest living, even if technically right now they're not supposed to, you know what? Go shut them down. Shut them down repeatedly if you have to, but also don't put them in jail. That is the part that angered me, that they arrested her.
Did they drop
it
the
wasn't
case,
like,
or?
Well, the attorney general got involved and they dropped the case immediately because this got national attention.
Oh, okay.
Right. So in a case like that, I totally understand. Now let's talk about the other extreme, which are the fucking come mierdas, right? And you could quote me on that.
Those FCs.
So these people, this is what really has outraged me. And I think I've been in a pissed off mood all week because of this. Happy Pedo Friday, everybody.
Well, don't take it out on me. God, this may have been the wrong week to Zoom and see you if you're going to get upset.
No. We were talking about Reading Rainbow.
That's true.
Besides, this is what I did for a living for many years, so I'm good with this. So on the other spectrum of that, you have these MFs, okay, because that's what I'm going to call them, storming, for example, the state capital of Michigan,
right,
with all their weapons for no reason, burning the American flag, right?
Oh, they were?
And saying, oh my God, and a bunch of protests are burning the American flag, right? So this is my little
right. Nugget of, to go back to Zorak, your little nugget of joy.
So these people that are out there complaining that their rights are being violated and their constitutional rights are being violated because they have to stay at home, during a pandemic, right? During a pandemic that has been unprecedented in not only the history of the United States, but pretty much in the history of the world, at least in modern times or recently, in the last 100 years, right? To this magnitude that the world has shut down, because the flu of 1918, I think it was worse in terms of people dying, but the world didn't shut down. In the
it was a different world too, back then.
And it was a different world. But anyway, so all these people are huffing and puffing and being all brave and, big time bullies, out there getting in front of nurses, saying all these terrible things, burning the American flag. But I'm sure that those are the same people that got really pissed off and offended when Colin Kaepernick kneeled during the national anthem. Wow. I'm sure that those are the same people that, were like,
and these are listen, these are the same people who, are marching out there with signs that says, my body, my choice, but, not when it comes to abortion. Only when it comes to being able to go eat at TGI Fridays.
Right. So, and the whole thing with the kneeling with to the national anthem, I understand that that's a heated debate. I understand that if you're a veteran or something like that, to see somebody kneeling, I understand how that could be offensive, but that's his right to do that. And you have a right to disagree with it. Right. But I'm sure that, those people that said all these horrible things about him
are the first ones out there marching on there with I don't understand the guns. I don't understand why
because this is all these are, well, first of all, the president didn't help when he tweeted.
Has he ever?
He hasn't. But, but sometimes he does even worse, when he tweeted liberate Michigan, liberate Wisconsin. And in one of them, he said liberate, I think it was Minnesota, and, fight for your Second Amendment rights, right? This is all part of the show. But this has
nothing to do with Second Amendment.
Right, but the thing is that he right now can't have rallies because his famous Trump rallies, he can't have them. So this is a way of having a Trump rally. So it's just the hypocrisy, that it's just unbelievable to me. Like, unbelievable. It's like, okay.
To me. Okay. I'm not caught off guard by the hypocrisy of it all.
It's like, okay, Karen and Bill, I understand that you have kids. And you know what? I have kids too, and so does the next person. And so I understand you have a mortgage.
We all have a mortgage.
I know you have rent, and you've got to work. I understand that, and nobody's saying that those points are not valid, but this is also what's going on, and if you do want to protest, because as we talked about it here last week, for example, in Michigan, the rules in Michigan were a little bit extreme. Like, I don't know why they were so extreme, but they were. Okay, find a way of maybe, I don't know, doing a honking parade that you go in front of the Capitol and you honk, something to have your voice or your honk of your car heard.
Or to your point, if you were saying that people couldn't go and buy paint or whatever, do a rally in front of a Home Depot.
Whatever. But these people now, are doing this, and it's the hypocrisy when a minority, and people are always upset. Oh, you make things white and black. Yeah, you make things white and black because they are white and black. Right? When a minority or somebody else does something, that you don't agree with, you want to cut their head off.
And let's be very clear, when we are in this particular instance saying a minority, we are not talking about a minority that does something in a minority majority city.
So yeah, Karen and Bill, it's like, I mean, really, it's just the hypocrisy of it. It's just disgusting, and unfortunately, I see certain images, and it just makes me very disappointed in just us as a country in general. Because damn it, if there was ever something that we should have united on, and for the most part, at the beginning, I think people were pretty united.
Yeah, I think it's a cabin fever mixed with racism situation.
It is. But there was something that really, I mean, literally should have brought us all together, because we are all in the same boat in reference to this. Would have been this, and just the humanity and the people that have died and all that.
It's funny because you're saying that you're disappointed, in this country, and I'm glad that you're still there, because I think a while ago have already lost most hope in humanity as a whole. So I'm glad that you still have to catch up with me.
I'm an optimist. I always feel that at the end of the day, good will triumph over evil, and whatever.
I believe that.
And
too.
whatever magnitude or face or manifestation it is, I always feel that the right thing will be done, even if at the moment it feels that the wrong thing is being done. But again, this whole thing of going back to work and opening up the economy, I think everybody can agree that it has to happen. Right, and
we just have to do it in a measured way.
In a measured way, and I said it here first. When the administration passed their original guidelines for reopening the economy, specifically the 14-day rule, I actually was totally on board with that. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. If the cases of COVID-19 continue to drop for a period of 14 days, okay, yeah, let's ease restrictions. Right. That means that at least that state in that area passed the curve, right? But then you have stuff like here. Now let's bring it back over to Miami. As you probably know, South Point Park.
That made national news.
Listen. Nobody loves South Point Park more than me. I love South Point Park.
You're always there.
I'm always at South Point Park. I think South Point Park is beautiful. I think it's one of those beautiful places in town, and especially at sunset when the cruises start passing by after 4:30. Just being there is beautiful, and the air is cooler at that time, and it's breezy. I love South Point Park. Pero tuviste clase show que se formó en South Point Park.
What do I always say?
What?
This is why we can't have nice things.
No, you know what I love? That meme that has gone around. It's gone around in like Only in Dade and like the Field of Miami IGs. People are going out on their boat and going to the beach. The people that are going out on their boat and going to the beach now are the same ones that haven't gone to Miami Beach in like 5 years.
Oh yeah. Like all of a sudden, everybody goes to the beach and goes to the park.
Yeah, because you and I can really say that we go to the beach all the time.
Yeah, more than most. Yeah,
always. But think about it. Even since we were like in college, we've always, whether it's individually or even with our group of friends, we go to the beach a lot. Right. But how many people do you know that never ever go to Miami Beach?
No, ahora están empeñados a ir a la playa.
And now vamos a la playa, and it's like, are you serious?
You know what sucks though about the South Point Park one? Is that this time around we can't blame it on tourists like we could the first time around with the with the
all Miami people.
This is all us. It's like, coño, this is all us.
Yeah, that was all Miami people.
We can't shift the blame at this one.
Especially South Point Park, because South Point Park on a regular day, even when there are a lot of people there,
it's not that packed.
It's not that packed.
Yeah.
Right, because on a weekend there's hundreds of people there doing all types of stuff, but it never feels packed. But if you really think of the area of it, it's not that large of a park. It's not like tropical park.
It's also residential more so.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not like tropical park or like Tamiami Park that's like acres and acres and acres and acres of parkland. I mean, this is a strip of a park. So,
by definition, you're going to be on top of each other.
Yeah. So they gave out in that weekend. Did you hear how many warnings they gave out? They gave 8,000 warnings.
8,000?
8,000. Over 8,000.
Isn't that more warnings than people have died from corona in Miami-Dade?
I think so. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Que la gente están del carajo. Vaya.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lordy.
I love, for some reason, we always laugh. I mean, I feel it's probably people that listen to us, or most of the people that listen to us, probably follow Only in Dade, which we love.
I'm sure there's there's definitely a Venn diagram somewhere about that.
We're big fans of Only in Dade. They're awesome. But haven't you felt that recently on Only in Dade, there have been more cars in the water and car burnings than usual? It's like, I love that Only in Dade posts so many pictures of cars on fire.
Yeah. Like, who knew this was like, I mean, that might be the real epidemic that's happening in South Florida.
Yeah. But, but now recently, in like the last couple of weeks or month, I feel there's been so many cars that have been stuck in the water. So, you know how it is. You can't pay a car, you stick it in a canal.
It's true. Así por lo menos you get blue book.
Oh, yeah, that's the Miami way.
It's true.
See, oh, yeah, I remember as a kid, that used to be lingo. People would be like, no puedes pagar por el carro, tiraron en un canal. And I would think as a kid, like, really? Are you really going to drive in the car into a canal?
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. Your parents' house is near a canal. I'm sure that you guys saw your share of, cars being towed out of the canals, dripping behind.
I was going to say, why don't you just stick it to AutoNation? But no, if you're financing it, you're stuck.
Also, that didn't exist when we were growing up.
Yeah, no, but that was such a common thing back in the 80s. No, que te quieres hacer del carro.
Tíralo por el canal.
Tíralo en un canal. Yo conozco a alguien que lo tira en un canal.
Total. Después te dan el blue book.
Yeah, no, because the thing is, there's an art to that. Because when you,
I love that we're almost giving like a tutorial on.
No, because when you. The thing about when they would throw the car in the canal, why they needed to hire a professional. Because I would see, like, when I was a kid and I would hear people talk about this, I'm like, so do you just drive the car to the canal
and just go?
Like, push it, right? No, the reason why you would pay someone to do that is because they have to take the VIN number off your car.
Oh.
Right, because then they would take the VIN number off the car. So then what you would do is that you would call the cops and be like, they stole my car.
I don't know where it ended up. That's true.
Right, because if a few days later, I go outside of my house and I look at my canal and I'm like, there's a white Mustang floating in the canal, and I call the cops, and the cops come and read your VIN number. They'll be like, Mr. Yano, sir, we have located your car in suspicious.
We have reason to believe you may have been involved in the disappearance.
Yeah, I'm sure that back in the 80s, everybody knew somebody who knew a guy that could throw the car in a canal.
I'm sure.
That's like me. I mean, not obviously because of what I went to law school and all that.
And you're an upstanding citizen.
I do everything by the book. I've always leased cars. Always since I've been 18.
It's true.
I've always leased cars. I've always had a leased car. Since a Jetta, I've had a leased car. I can't tell you how many times in those 20 years that I've been in conversations with people that I'm like, oh yeah, because my car's leased, and when my lease is up, that somehow it comes up that my car is leased.
Right.
That I'll have somebody tell me, hey, if you need to change the miles, I know a guy, and I'm like, why on earth do you think that I would do that?
Pero hello, like you and I have always said, you and I have lived here in this country for years and years and years. And we don't know how to do Medicare fraud compared to some of these people que llegan de Cuba y se la saben toda. And it's like, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I freaking went to law school and passed the bar, and I wouldn't even know where to start on how to do Medicare fraud.
And much less if I came from a communist country.
And our brothers and sisters that come from Cuba, it's like, I think they took a course over there.
Eso es lo que enseñan en la Universidad de La Habana.
There must be. Actually, they say that they do. I've heard people say that they do.
I have no doubt.
Because I'm like, do you know how complex it is to go through the Medicare system, and getting paid? That's a federal system. So...
Oh Lord!
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
No.
But yeah. So I've had so many times people have been like, "Oh, you need somebody to fix your miles," and I'm like, "No,
thank you. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Thanks.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. No, thanks. I'm good." Oye, did you get a chance? I sent this article. I think it was last week, over the weekend, to you and our friends about the woman with the bread baking.
Did I read it? No.
You didn't read it? Okay. All right. Well, you know that with this pandemic, everybody and their mother now is like baking bread.
It's baking, including me. I'm like.
But baking bread, I feel like baking bread has taken off. Like a lot of people are like, "Bueno, total, I'm here for the next 3 years of my life. Might as well learn how to bake bread." Mm-hmm. And and everybody's obviously making it and posting it or what have you. So on Medium, the website Medium, this woman last week, I think she posted it about Friday or Saturday. Her name, get ready for this name. Her name is Karen White with a C. So it's Karen with a C, White, okay, is this woman's name. And the title of her article was Why You Need to Stop Baking Bread. Your new hobby is creating food insecurity in your community.
I don't get it. I don't even get the headline.
Okay, well, so here's the thing. So Karen, again, she was just born to ask for management. Karen, apparently...
Does she have the haircut?
Well, we don't know. So here's the thing. She posted this article. The article's not even up anymore because she got so much backlash for it that she deleted the article from Medium. She deleted her author page on Medium, and she has just evaporated into the ether. So I'm going to read a couple things from her article because, of course, being the internet, things may be taken down, but they're not gone, right? So she says, I was walking down the baking aisle to see if the organic flour was on sale. That's literally the first sentence of her article, and I already hate her. Organic flour is expensive, and I am poor, so I always try to buy it when it goes on sale. There was no sale and no flour. The shelves were bare. My eyes traveled up to the top shelf. The shelf with the leavening ingredients, also bare. How could this be? So she goes on and she says, it seems there's been a run on flour and yeast because people are bored. So they're baking bread to pass the time. So then she goes on to say that baking bread is a way of life for her, not a hobby. Because she doesn't eat store-bought bread. She rarely eats prepared foods of any kind. And if you went to her kitchen, you would find food, but nothing to eat because I only stock ingredients. On Saturday nights, I don't order pizza. I make it, including the crust. I also grow my own popcorn, but that's a topic for another day. So she just keeps going on and on and on, right? But basically... and then
she grows her own popcorn?
I can't wait to see what that tree looks like.
I mean, wouldn't it be like she grows her own corn?
Right. You don't grow your own popcorn, Karen.
Is there your own popcorn that we don't know about?
So she just...
a popcorn plant?
I would love a popcorn plant. It'd be next to a cotton candy bush. So basically, she goes on to keep saying how, like, these people, are robbing other people's children of their daily bread, and all they're doing it for is for the picture. And, instead of baking bread, you should take up other hobbies, like, learning how to garden or sew. And then this other chick, which is the one who, pulled and wrote an op-ed piece, like, tore her to shreds. Okay, so here's how the lady ends the article, the one criticizing her. This is a freaking pandemic, and we're all trying to make do with whatever's available. If the worst thing that happens to you throughout this is a thing you want, not being at the store when you go there, you are a very lucky person, and you should shut the hell up before a lightning bolt strikes you in the neck.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about this.
I have no doubt in my mind that you have a lot to say about it.
So she says that she bakes her own bread.
Basically, she doesn't buy anything prepared.
But she does it for financial reasons?
No, not for financial reasons, because she says that she's poor, so she only buys these things when they're on sale. So I'm assuming that what happens is when it's on sale, she goes and she stocks up.
Right, but it's for financial reasons then.
I don't think it's for financial reasons that she cooks these things. I think, no, she's one of those people who just makes everything at home. Like, she's one of those organic bullshit people.
Right, but she said that she's poor, right?
Right. Yep.
So I would assume that the reason why she said she's poor is because she bakes her bread at home. Because you know what? If you want to get technical with that, a loaf of Publix bread is like $1.
Right. Well, but that's the thing. She doesn't eat. It's not that she doesn't eat them because of that. She just doesn't eat processed foods. She's one of those come mierdas, Darian. Like she's one of these organic people. Okay,
well, if she doesn't eat processed foods and she has stuff organic, then she can't be that poor. Because as we know, things that are organic, even if they're on sale, are 3-4 times as much as things that are not organic. So, which that is a problem in itself, being that, we're one of the most developed country with such high rates of obesity and diabetes and all that. But that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, like if you're buying all this stuff, that's organic, then you are not counting your pennies, because if you are poor, you know what? You're going to be eating the 99 cents menu from McDonald's, or you're going to be, or you're going to be going to some type of food bank, or you're going to be buying crappy food. That's why we all know this.
Poor neighborhoods have
poor neighborhoods,
with health. Yeah.
Poor neighborhoods, and poverty-stricken
areas,
communities are the ones that have all these health problems, because their access financially they only have access to like really bad food,
Right.
So that's something that doesn't make sense. And also, I think a lot of people are baking to pass the time. I think also a lot of people are baking, because since you can't go out and do a lot of things, are probably baking to do things with their children,
right?
Or even something
but
like
Darian,
a simple. Now,
what about Karen? What about Karen's needs? What about Karen's bread?
Like now during Mother's Day,
that's true.
I still have mothers in my life I want to celebrate, so I'm gonna actually bake my cornbread, my orange cranberry bread, which is all for. It's from a boxed mix, but I Sandra Lee that shit. Like,
okay. You semi-homemade.
I semi-homemade. Like when I buy any mix or anything, I always semi-homemade it.
Sí,
make it because, I add like it's a cranberry orange muffin or bread.
Mm-hmm.
I add like orange zest.
Oh, okay.
I'll put pieces of oranges in the batter. Then I make I get confectionery sugar, and I make like an orange glaze. Like I add stuff to it. But that's what everybody's getting for Mother's Day. I'm putting in a cellophane paper and go, here you go, dropping it in your doorstep.
Ooh, I'm not one of your mothers, but can I get one too?
I'll see what I can do. But yeah, like I think a lot of people are baking, and I mean, look at Stephanie. Stephanie's from Mama Merlot. She's open.
She opened up a restaurant. Look, I find that.
No, and what I love is that the stuff that she's cooking is like butternut squash ravioli with a like brown butter reduction in sage. It's like really like what I'm saying is that she's cooking things that probably
we don't have the time normally
to cook. That generally on a weekday you don't have the time to cook, but now because you're stuck at home, you're bored,
right.
Or you want to do things with your kids. Hey, help me bake this, or hey, let's make bread, and kids
right.
love all that stuff. So Karen, it's not all about you finding your organic flour, Karen.
My biggest issue with her, I mean, again, like I told you, from the first sentence, I was already against her. Like, she wasn't going to win me over. But my whole thing is where she's just like, you're robbing children. I'm like, mira, cuando hay hambre, se come lo que se tenga que comer. Unless you are deathly allergic to something, like, if you're allergic to shrimp and the only thing left to eat is shrimp, well, then start gnawing on bark because, you're going to die. But
Karen no ha pasado trabajo de verdad.
Es lo que pasa. Karen, I mean, listen, her name is Karen White.
Karen,
I mean,
because when you have $5 and you have kids to feed and you have a family, the last thing you're thinking about is organic, flour or organic anything. So whatever,
Yeah, I read the article because a friend of mine had posted it on Facebook. So I clicked on it, I read it. And I saw it, that thing had like 600 and something comments. And when I clicked on the comments to see the comments, that's when it was giving me a 404 error. It was like file not found. I
wouldn't have left a bad comment because, I think, we always say this all the time, that Twitter and all that is vicious. And I'm not going to go out of my way to make Karen feel bad.
Fair enough, but I'm going to read them.
Oh, no, I'll read them. But I'm not going to say anything. Let Karen deal with her. Let Karen deal with the manager. No, with the manager of her local supermarket on her own.
I have a feeling that the manager of Karen's local supermarket is very familiar with Karen.
Oye,
¿qué pasó?
¿Oíste quién la mordió una serpiente?
Yes.
I don't know why I find that so funny.
Okay, did you see? I sent the picture of the headline. Did you see the picture? The picture of the headline?
No. I saw it now in Access Hollywood.
Okay, so we're talking about Lindsay Lohan, but the picture. Oh shit! I can't bring it up now because it's on my phone.
You sent it on. Okay, hold on.
I sent it to the group chat. Yeah. The the picture, it's basically, it's a picture of Lindsay Lohan with, like, I guess a snake next to her or what have you. But the headline reads something like
Lindsay Lohan bitten by snake on holiday in Thailand.
And
so it sounds like the snake was on holiday in Thailand.
I'm picturing the snake, like, on Travelocity, like, clicking away, just, making sure it's not a flight with...
Or it should have been Lindsay Lohan.
Snake bites Lindsay Lohan.
In Thailand.
Right.
It's bitten by snake. But it sounds like the snake was like in Thailand, doing what you do in Thailand.
Doing what snakes do on holiday,
On holiday and
avoiding Samuel L. Jackson.
And being like, she looks juicy. Although she doesn't look juicy.
No.
She doesn't give me a juicy feel, but being like, I'm hungry. Let me bite her, and it's Lindsay Lohan. I hope I didn't mess up the brand. Did that show Lindsay Lohan's Beach Retreat or whatever the hell it was called? Did that get renewed?
No. I'm laughing. I don't know why Beach Retreat sounded funny to me. No, it didn't get renewed because the club actually closed. So she closed
the Lindsay Lohan Experience Club closed.
Yes, she closed the beach one, but she still has the one in. I think it's in Athens.
Hey, I'm gonna make you feel old really quick now. Like an instant. I'm gonna make you feel old because when I saw this, I felt very old.
Okay.
You know whose birthday it was this week and how old he turned? And this is only a reference that the MTV generation is gonna get.
Oh, well, now that you said MTV generation, yes, I know who you're talking about. And
it was Kurt Loder's birthday. Kurt Loder from MTV.
Reporter
from 75.
When I saw that, I was like,
now,
wow.
Now, granted, when Kurt Loder was on MTV and we used to watch MTV, he was the oldest person there. We knew that. And that's what kind of gave him prestige. That's why he interviewed Madonna, and he would interview like the biggest people because he was like the credible news person.
Well, he worked for Rolling Stone as well, so I mean, he had a career at Rolling Stone before.
But he was like the beacon of credibility on MTV, and he was older than everybody else there. So yeah, we knew the guy was in 20, or 30. Right. But so we knew that he was older. But I guess I never stopped and realized that he was older? At that time he was in his 50s. And he's turning 75.
75. Like, and it's funny because when I saw him, I was like, he looks old, obviously. I mean, he's 75. He looks older. But I guess because he always looked older, like, I'm like, oh, well, he doesn't look that bad. You know what I mean? Like, he always looked old to us anyway.
He just looked generic older.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that made me feel old really quick.
I know.
So now he's old. Adele's skinny. There's flying moths coming that are going to kill us.
Murder hornets. There's a polar vortex and Mother's Day.
Or the coronavirus is still going on.
Oh, God. But I got to say, well, so this week's guest, we have been trying to get this guest for a while now. You
want to talk about iconic? There you go. We're talking about iconic at the beginning.
Very, very iconic. He is, he's known in Miami, but he's known in Spanish-speaking circles, English-speaking circles, local, national. He is a nationally syndicated DJ. It's Enrique Santos, who number one, we just think he's hilarious and fun and all that, but we have a massive amount of respect for because of what he's been able to accomplish, and you guys will hear all about it. But he really is. I know we say this a lot with our guests, but there's a reason that there are guests. He's what we like to spotlight on our show. It's what we really like to bring to the forefront. And so, after word from
I was gonna say before we get there, I'm like, although the world is falling apart in 2020, we were able to get two of the guests we always wanted and hadn't been able to, which was Jenny Lorenzo and Enrique Santos.
It only took a pandemic for us to be able to lock in these guests.
They were always on our short list of people that we really wanted, and we finally got them. Although the whole world is falling apart, we got them on the show.
Things are working out for us, so whatever. We're like Karen with her yeast.
Oh.
All right, guys. So we're from our sponsor, and then our chat with Enrique Santos. Oye, caballero, we all know que in Miami, there is a lot of authentic Hispanic food options. But at Cuban Guys restaurants, favorites like the frita and the sandwich cubano are the absolute stars of the show. And now for National Burger Month, they've got a special guest star, Burger Beast. During May, at Cuban Guys locations in Hialeah, Kendall, and Miramar, you can order Burger Beast menu items for either pickup or delivery. The Beast Burger can be ordered either regular or a caballo. Oh, that fried egg, just thinking about it makes me so hungry. Or if you're feeling a little more adventurous, you can get the Georgie Boy, which is a burger that not only has tartar sauce, but also includes Burger Beast's signature beast sauce. Oh, what's beast sauce, you ask? It's only a guava sriracha ketchup that is so damn good, you can order a bottle of it to put on all of the other items on the Cuban Guys menu, or for use at your barbecues, or honestly, you could probably put that thing on a pierna and it would taste insanely delicious. And ordering online es lo más fácil del mundo, either at CubanGuysRestaurants.com or through Facebook Messenger. Plus, right now, if you use promo code PERO when ordering online, you'll get 10% off your order total. Cuban Guys Restaurants, Burger Beast, and 10% with promo code PERO. Sounds like the perfect Miami combo to us. Cuban Guys Restaurants. It's not just fast food, it's awesome food fast. Okay, caballero, we have with us today, we've interviewed our fair share of multi-hyphenates in the past, but I think that this guy really takes the cake. He is a radio host, nationally syndicated, English, Spanish, has a podcast, volunteer policeman, has, part of a local fast food chain. I mean, I think, do you also do basket weaving, sir? I mean, it's the only thing left at this point.
I do macrame.
You macrame. Of course, we have the one and only Enrique Santos with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations for your success. I've heard so much about you guys. I'm sorry, I know you guys have been after me for a while, but we had to do it the right Cuban way and make you guys wait.
A little bit. So now our voices, I was telling Ish yesterday, I'm like, so now we're going to sound like crap because we're going to be, speaking to the voice. The guy was like the best voice. So
Ay, por favor. No, man. I get all the time, well, you got such a beautiful voice. And I've never really worked on my voice. It's just been, talk, be yourself. And a lot of people also, through the years, people have asked me, so what do I got to do to get into radio? Do I have to have that broadcaster voice? And no, just talk and be you. And I think that's what really shines through, what people value is really what you got to say and where your heart's at.
Well, that's a great kind of transition because I know you're from originally Chicago. You're based out of Miami now, but you actually were a cop, right? I mean, is that as the legend goes before you got into radio?
Yeah.
That is true. It is. I'm actually still a police officer, a reserve police officer with the city of Miami. Listen, as a kid, all I ever wanted to do was be a police officer. Looking up to my uncle, Enrique Santos, he's now retired, recently retired from the Florida Highway Patrol. But I remember seeing my tío Eddie, come in his patrulla and see him in his uniform, and I was like, damn, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And so that's all I really ever wanted to do. Although I enjoyed radio and TV and broadcasting and comedy, I never really envisioned making a career out of it. But through high school, I joined the Police Explorer program, and that got me very close to the law enforcement community, and I made a lot of friends, and it really made me even find my path. Became more passionate about pursuing a career in law enforcement. Right out of high school, I become a dispatcher, and then I become a police officer with the city of North Miami. Working as a police officer in the city of North Miami, I called the radio station that I listened to. The guy that picked up the phone was the program director. We became friends. One thing led to another. He put me on the radio. He liked what he heard. I liked what I was doing. And it was like a moonlighting job. And then eventually he ended up offering me full-time work hosting the morning show. And I left full-time police work to do radio full-time. But I've always kept my ties with the community. Now as a City of Miami Reserve Police Officer, I work very closely with Chief Colina and with the Community Relations Division, where we work and do great things with the Police Athletic League and do the right thing. And in whatever capacity the police department needs me.
That's awesome. But I mean, you've been doing radio now for how long?
Yeah, I feel it's been for a while now.
For somebody who's as young as you are, it feels like way too long. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Wait, thanks. It never gets old. That's the whole thing. And this is it kind of feels every time I look back, I say, how long have I been doing radio? It's like I think it's been about 18 or close to 20 years. So I started, the part-time like 97, 98, 99. And I left police work to do radio full-time in 2000. So yeah, 20 something years now when you do the numbers, but it seems like longer than that.
And how did you just get initially even part-time? Like how did you transition from being a police officer to even as a part-time gig getting into radio?
Again, it was kind of, I remember I was working as a police officer, and I walked into the Specs music store that no longer exists, 123rd Street and Biscayne Boulevard.
Okay, yeah.
We know the Specs.
Yeah, it used to be a Specs. Now it's a FedEx office thing that they do, where you can go in and make your copies or whatever they call it, FedEx something. Kinko's, FedEx, whatever, that combination. So, but before that was FedEx, Kinko's. It used to be a Specs, and I walked in there, and I walked in, and I wanted to buy the CD. Toño Rosario did a song, El Merenguero Toño Rosario de República Dominicana, a cover song of Eros Ramazzotti, No Puede Haber. No Puede Haber. Da, 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 da. But he did it in merengue. And I wanted that song because I would hear it on the radio, and I walked in, and I didn't know what production it was on or what album it was on. So I called the radio station that I listened to at that time, which was El Sol 95.
Yeah.
And again, the guy that picked up was Jesus Salas, who's still there. Great guy. We hit it off. He heard, I told him I was a police officer. He asked me if I listened to the morning show. I said yes. He asked me if I like radio. I said yes. He asked me if I'd be willing to come in and do an interview on the radio program, which never materialized, but that interview never materialized, but that relationship did. And again, he needed somebody on the weekends, and he put me on, and the rest really was history. So it was a great opportunity.
Wow, that's a great story. So this was totally by chance. This wasn't you looking out for it, and
100%. Yeah, exactly. Again, I always liked and respected, radio and TV and comedy. But again, I never envisioned making a career out of it. As a matter of fact, the Greenwich Studios is there in North Miami, and I used to patrol, and I was assigned to as the off-duty officer. They were working at that studio. At that time, the Greenwich Studio is the only sound stage in the state of Florida. And so a lot of people don't know, but there's a lot of movies have been filmed there, and TV shows and music videos, like, for example, Miami Vice, and if you remember Flipper, and Gloria Estefan's Coming Out of the Dark video after her horrible accident that almost cost her life and the recovery. She filmed that video there. So many movies have been filmed there, where I was the police officer on set as the off-duty officer, including Demi Moore's Striptease. I remember if you've seen the movie Striptease, where Demi Moore takes it all off and she's topless, she's completely naked and all that stuff. I always think
of that movie as the one with Burt Reynolds and head-to-toe Vaseline. But yes, that's...
There's a bunch of cool parts. So you can pick your favorite parts, right? Whether it's the Vaseline Burt Reynolds part or the Demi Moore topless part. But I was there at that very moment when they were filming that scene on set, and Demi Moore actually whispered over to one of the production people, and that person walked right over to me and said, "Excuse me, officer, would you mind leaving the set? Mrs. Moore is doing a special scene, and she wants only the essential or the right people here." So, but they're great opportunities and great memories. I was also on the set, with Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura, a Pet Detective. It was filmed there. So many cool and neat opportunities when Harry met Something About Mary with Ben Stiller. I was actually assigned to Ben Stiller's security for the filming of that movie. So I spent a lot of time with him in my patrol car. So that whole world, it was kind of like I was attracting, if you believe in the laws of attraction, right? I was attracting all this stuff without even realizing it, and learning from a lot of these actors as well. And look how things panned out. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Now, humor has always been a really big part of your, personality, on-air personality. So did you know you were funny?
I
know I was funny looking. I
always
come on. Por favor. If this wasn't a Zoom call, you might get away with that. But, well, that's just COVID. We all look weird now that we've been at home eating.
No, it's funny because so comedy is therapy. And as a kid, I've always been prank calling people. And again, these are things that we do that you're not even conscious of, but it's part of our DNA, and sometimes part of our destiny, depending on what we pick and choose and what we want and what we like the song says, right? Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. It's so true. I remember as a kid with Alex Brown, my best friend, who's actually now my attorney. But back in the days, we used to prank call people. It was just, that was the thing to do. Pick up the yellow pages and prank call people and laugh and have fun. And now I get paid to do prank calls, Yeah. So comedy, and sometimes I have to reset myself and just remember. In that I take things a little too literal. I take things a little too serious. Mm-hmm. I take pride in things that I do and I don't like letting people down. Mm-hmm. I don't like telling people no. I like I'm a perfectionist, and in a good way, but I pay a very high price. I want everything to be so perfect, and the way I think of things, and we're involved in a project, or when we're doing a bit or an interview, I plan it out, and I have to remind myself that, Enrique, relax. I'm being a little bit of an asshole to myself and maybe to the person in that situation, mm-hmm. And so I gotta remind myself to inject the funny. So because the funny helps us. Funny helps us heal. Funny helps us put things into perspective, and learning how to be self-deprecating too, of being able to look in the mirror and realizing that we're not perfect. Nothing is perfect. And it's okay to not be perfect, and laughing at yourself and at the situation helps us get through a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, actually, speaking of crank calls, you are known for quite possibly the greatest crank call of all time. And you know where I'm going here. So your crank call with Fidel Castro, how did that happen? Like, I remember when it happened and everybody heard it. I'm like, how did that happen? How did he get through? So, I mean, I know it's been a while now, but how did that happen, Enrique? Because still to this day, I mean, it was hard enough to get through Cuba to speak to your family, let alone to speak to Castro. Like, how the heck did you get through to him?
Darian, I would say it's a little bit of chance, a little bit of luck, a little bit of being in the right place at the right time, and I would say of listening. At that time, the producer of my show was a good friend, Alberto Sardinas. He now is in Miami. You hear him on Amor 107.5. He works over at Univision. Great guy, and he was my producer then. And at that moment, we had a segment that was called Fidel Te Llama. So basically, it was different pieces of Fidel Castro's voice recorded, and we would call people and tell them, "Hey, we have Fidel Castro on the line." And it was very popular in Cuba. People would send us requests. Call my mom, call my dad, my uncle, llama mi prima.
O sea, esto hasta llegó a Cuba.
Oh yeah. We started with those calls. We would call people in Cuba with Fidel Castro's recorded voice and convince them that it was Fidel Castro on the other line, and we would make all types of outrageous requests. El comandante que canta el himno nacional, and the people were, ¿está Fidel Castro ahí? El comandante Castro está en la línea? Sí, dígame, te escucho. And they would be like, oh, el sí, and we would help out, and say, he wants you to sing the national anthem. And we get people singing the national anthem. It was hysterical. So this went on, and then Alberto, my producer, says to me, these calls were working out great. Why don't you call El Palacio Miraflores in Caracas, Venezuela, and try to convince them that we have Fidel Castro on the line? And I said, this is going to be impossible. And it wasn't impossible. It was actually very easy. With that same MO, we called Palacio Miraflores, and we got Hugo Chavez on the line, and we were able to fool him to thinking that he was talking to the Fidel Castro. He was talking to a recorded Fidel Castro. At the end, we told him it was a prank. He stayed silent. He didn't say anything. Almost 6 years to the day, after so many people insisting, hey, if you guys pranked Hugo Chavez, you can prank Fidel Castro too. It's like, these guys are buddies. That's not going to ever happen again. And again, almost 6 months to the day, we were able to get Fidel Castro on the line. The only difference was when I told Fidel it was a prank. He told us to go pound sand, and he said all types of bad words, and that's what made that call historic, because never before has Fidel Castro been heard saying all the things.
Sí, lo agarraste in a real moment. Like, it wasn't his perfectly coiffed personality that he tried to present to the world.
Right, as Cubans would say, "Estaba bien pingao."
Yeah, that was amazing, and you kind of spoke for an entire people at that moment. That you were like, kind of,
Yes.
F you.
Yeah, and again, if had I better prepared myself, I think I would have instead of. But he the tone that he took obviously gets a surprise. He was surprised. No one's that's what prank calls are. Kind of get you off guard and get the funny or outrageous reaction, an angry reaction which we got from him. But at the end, I was like, yeah, I did feel, and a lot of people said thank you because you were the voice of, the exiled community, of all of our political prisoners, of all the people that have suffered and are still suffering today because of that brutal and horrible dictatorship that has so brutally and cowardly oppressed our people and our human rights.
Yeah.
And separated us. So had I really known that I was going to be able to engage with him, I would have prepared myself to really say something a lot more solid. But again, that was totally unexpected.
Can you imagine after that call how many heads rolled in that office?
Oh yeah. So there was a number that he gave us, the despacho, and it was an actual official number, and we aired that number. Since after that they changed the number and stuff, but there's some people questioned the validity of it. And it was investigated, and yes, it did happen. It was Fidel Castro. As a matter of fact, with the radio station, we were fined by the FCC for having their voice without his consent, which is absurd because
he's a public figure, though.
Yeah, but it's they're broadcast rules, and you can't.
Yeah, gana de comer mierda, basically.
Air somebody without their consent or record them without their consent, and yeah, there's a lot of those regulations that were in play.
Yeah. So you mentioned, that you were thanked by a lot of people for being that voice for that community, and I know now you're part of the iHeart family, and you have your show in Spanish. You also do some things in English. Obviously, you're straddling, both cultures. I think as many of us do. I mean, this is really the whole crux of this podcast. Is Darian and I were Cuban American, like yourself. I always say I'm not 50-50. I'm 100-100, right? Like I'm 100% Cuban culture, 100% American culture, and somewhere in the middle they kind of mesh.
Beautiful.
Another thing that I just wanted to say on a personal note as a thank you, you are a openly gay Latino man. I am a gay Latino, so thank you for being that type of representation that is a positive representation, especially in a community that we've made strides, but let's face it, in the Latino community, it's still a little eso no se habla. I guess it's a long-winded way of me saying, how do you feel the landscape has changed across the board? Because now you're straddling both English, Spanish, bilingualism, Spanglish. There's, the gay minority representation. I mean, I don't want to say do you feel a certain responsibility, but how do you feel that the world has changed and allowed you to kind of be navigating through these worlds? And that's a hell of a question, so I apologize in advance.
No, it's great, and it's right on point, and I appreciate that. Listen, I think it's more, it's more accepted, yet it's still not understood. And it's important that sexual orientation be accepted, but that it's also, and it's up to people like you, like me, and all of us that have a platform that are part of the LGBTQ plus community, that we get the right message across, that your sexual orientation doesn't determine your character.
Right.
And it's so important to really, honestly, to me, it comes with a huge sense of responsibility, of saying the right things, of representing the right things. I get people write to me all the time, people that have been outed through different situations, people that have come out that have struggled. Imagine, and this really needs to, people that come out to their family, and people in our community, what they want is to be accepted, and what every human wants and deserves, to be loved. And so imagine, and it's so sad to hear, and again, people write to me all the time and thank me, and this is what really puts it in perspective and lets me know, and it's fulfilling, and it lets me know that, again, it comes with a very big sense of responsibility, but it's very gratifying in the fact that I know that if I can at least touch one person, if I can at least reach one person and help that one person through this, I feel that I've done something positive. I feel that I'm doing the work that I should be doing, what my calling is. Que no es por gusto. Right. I like my days to be productive. I like doing something that's moving in the right direction, that's uniting, And so imagine people coming out and somebody going to their family and coming out to the people that they love the most, and then que sean rechazados, that they're turned away, that people turn their backs on them. And so many of our people and of our kids that look to their mom or dad or their grandparents or an uncle or a loved one, their family, and that que son rechazados por su familia, they're rejected by the people they love the most. Forget about society, starting at home. Right. They're rejected from homes, and a lot of them end up being kicked out of their homes, being disowned by their own parents. Put that in perspective. Wrap your brain around that, and how absurd is it to even think about that? Because we all like Cuban sandwiches, but I like mine with pepino, and some like it without pepino, and that somebody doesn't understand that and now rejects you because of that. So that really, to me, is one of the most. It's a conversation. It's almost a daily conversation. To me, it's like a se cae la mata. It's not a stress. It's not a big deal. I don't stress. Some people, everyone has their favorite colors. They have their favorite foods. They have their favorite drinks, and that doesn't, to me, it's so simple to understand, but unfortunately it's not that simple to everyone else.
But I think sometimes it takes a person like yourself, and again, I don't have demographic data on your fan base, but I would assume that, there is a substantial chunk of it who are these older school Cubans, coño mi hermano, and who are on board with you as a person, that when they find this out, they may think, oh, well, okay, it's not the stereotype, or it's not the, they see you as the person first. And I think it's very cliche, but it's like, until you know someone who is gay, black, Asian, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, your opinion may not change. And you're kind of that bridge for a lot of people in that old guard, I would think.
It's sort of acceptance through familiarity. When you're familiar with somebody and you know someone, no matter who they are or what they are, you are comfortable with them, so it's easier to accept whatever it is,
Yeah, so it all depends. Yeah, listen, it's it all depends on the demographic for sure. It's I've always been. I'm a very private person. And I think there's certain things that should stay private, for many reasons. Of
course.
But specifically, yes, with certain age groups, you got to know how to navigate. When I'm on the radio, I'm very clear who I am. I don't hide who I am.
Right.
I used to, but I felt that, and I've learned through time, that it's I'm doing a disservice to everyone out there who's suffering with this, keeping quiet. So with that said, and always in the back of my mind, there's certain filters that before I say anything, I always try as much as I can to obviously not offend, to unite. And when I finish my radio programs, even though there may be people that I disagree with, I think we can agree to disagree. The political, climate that exists currently in the world, but more importantly here at home in the United States, is something that it's depressing. It's sad.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, but I, honestly, it saddens me. Mm-hmm. It saddens me that because, especially Cubans have allowed, not by choice, but not allowed, Cubans have been fooled, right? To not even to accept, because not everyone accepts that. It's just the living conditions. What Cubans were fooled into communism and what exists now in Cuba, that dictatorship and totalitarianism. Mm-hmm. And then in our country, where we're supposed to respect, and we have freedoms of right and religion, and freedom of speech, most importantly, that people can't express themselves without being hated or being ridiculed or being called a name or being considered a communist just for thinking different. It's one of the weirdest things that we're living through in our country. But listen, we're a resilient country and people, and we're gonna overcome this. But my job is really, and I pride myself in that, is to unite, not to separate. I try to, as much as I can, cuando la gente tiene la razón, like my dad says, tiene que dar la razón a la persona que tiene la razón. That doesn't mean we have to hate each other or shut people out. But yeah, specifically with the content, I'm very, very careful, and it's just, again, it's sickening too, because we accept it. Same thing with like Ricky Martin and everyone else who's on the radar and famous and has a platform. And Ricky will put a picture up of his kids, and the majority of people understand that no big deal, and other people, why do we got to see this? Or if there's a picture of, you know, two gay guys or two gay women showing affection for each other, you see still today in 2020 where people is, you know, they start throwing the Bible at you or telling you that they judge you and how disgusting it is and that you shouldn't be doing that. So there is a double standard there. So again, it's accepted for the most part. The majority of people now accept more, but it's still yet not understood. We got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. You know, I honestly, I gotta say, didn't expect we would get this, you know, this deep and serious. But that's the beauty of podcasts, right? I mean, it gives you that opportunity to have those longer conversations. And I know that you have a podcast now, right?
Yeah. So we just launched my and we had a couple of episodes ready to go, and we struggled a little bit on when to launch it.
Do it now, yo! People are stuck at home; they're craving content.
That's exactly what we said, and we launched 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's been great.
¿Cómo se llama?
From hola, my name is.
I like it.
So a little, and I love the podcast you're doing too. It's you know, it's funny because it's great. It's genius because the same thing. You know, my producer's saying, "Oye, let me tell you." I'm like, "Let me tell me what?" "Oye, pero let me tell you." I'm like, "What the fuck are you gonna tell me? Tell me." He said, "No, the podcast." We're like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." Congrats on that. But on Hola, my name is. It's fun. We're, you know, from artists like J Balvin to you know, movers and shakers and people that really represent the Latino community in a very dignified way and have had success in their immigrant story. Emilio and Gloria Estefan, Babu Nanwe, who's the CEO of Goya, the most recognized brand in Latino products, and just being able to get into their brains and being able to share and learn more about them. The same thing, I'm learning more about you guys. You guys are learning more about me, and what a better time. There is no better time than now when we're all home to discover these new platforms and new shows.
No, absolutely. I mean, if not now, when, right?
Yeah. So something that, you know, as Ish said earlier, you know, you're now syndicated, so, you know, around the country they hear the voice. But you're also very unapologetically Miami, as you should.
as we've been accused of being a couple of times as well.
You know, yeah. So I don't know if you can see the Enrique, the shirt Ish is wearing. It says United States Census Bureau. Sure. That's a shirt that we designed, and it kind of says "De Miami." We're kind of our own people. So I'm just curious, somebody who's now heard around the country, and everybody has access to you. How would you, to somebody, let's say in Wichita, Kansas, how would you describe Miami? Because that's something that is like an ever-evolving definition.
Oh, what a cute puppy. Sorry, Darian, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but he's petting a puppy. He's petting a dog.
Charlie, say hi, puppy.
Oh,
say,
so cute.
Lazy Terry. Papi, saluda.
Hello.
Over here. Try. Look at pasar la mano. So how do we keep it real? Keep it Miami? Listen.
How would you describe the Miami experience? Because I feel a lot of people think that Miami is what you see on TV, you know, South Beach clubs. Right. To a certain extent, that is part of the Miami experience, but it's a very small percent. So how would you explain Miami again to somebody in the middle of the country, Kansas? Say hi.
What's up, buddy? It's your son.
Yeah.
Awesome. Man, I remember, first of all, let me say that I remember when I started doing radio in 2000. And you know, when I parked my police car, I took my uniform off and put the headphones on to do radio, I said to myself, I'm gonna take the ball and I'm gonna run as fast and hard as I can. I didn't know anybody in the industry. You know, I didn't know any artists except the ones that I told you about, that, you know, the actors that, you know, I rubbed shoulders with and that experience. But in the music industry, I really didn't know anybody. I didn't know any producers. You know, with time, you know, I met a lot, and now friends, intimate friends with a lot of the people that I used to hear, including Toño Rosario, who was the first guy that I walked in to buy that album from, and then then interview him, and then be friends with him, and eventually even invited me to sing with him, and we did for about a week on a tour as for fun.
No joda, pero tú cantas también. On top of everything else, you also sing.
In the shower, it sounds great. Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff with parodies, and we're always, you know, doing karaoke and stuff. And yeah, I enjoy it. So I remember at the beginning, I said to myself, there was never a show there's a lot of national shows that were done from New York to different parts of the country, or from Los Angeles out to the different parts of the country in Spanish. And I said, you know what? I always had at the beginning, como meta, hacer un show de Miami sin importar banderas, a show that would represent us all as Latinos, which is very complicated because we know we come from all different parts, much, and our language también, and our innuendos, and the lingo and the words, and bicho means one thing in Cuba, and in Puerto Rico means something totally different. Yeah. You can go on and on in Mexico and Spain, so it's a little tricky. But I always said to myself, I want to do a show from Miami, produced in Miami, with the right amount of people, like the United Nations of radio, if you would, and that's what we have nowadays. Pero me costó mucho. There was a lot of people at the beginning that didn't understand it, didn't see it, and maybe they were just brutally honest with me, and they were probably right. At that time, I wasn't ready, but I remember one person telling me, and the person will remain anonymous because I think the person said it with now. I was very angry then, but now I think they said it with the right intentions. And he says, your show will never be syndicated. You're too Cuban.
Okay.
And that always stuck out with me. I'm too Cuban. What does that mean? Is it my accent? Is it the way I think? Is it the music? What is it? So it took several years to digest that. And again, that person at that moment didn't mean wrong. I took it the wrong way, and I was angry. I really was. But I'm happy I heard that, because that helped me understand and really open up my mind. En ese entonces I worked for a Spanish broadcasting system para los Alarcones, who own great family of broadcasting. I have a lot of respect for Raúl Alarcón, may he rest in peace, and his son Raulito, que también le tengo mucho aprecio. And then from there moved to Univision. So when you work with different people, and it's good to have conversations like this. It's good to hear different people's opinion, to be open-minded about things, because that, with time, my Spanish got better. At that time, honestly, I spoke Spanish, but it really wasn't. To be honest with you, when I started overnights and I was put on the radio, my Spanish was, not ready for radio. Right. I got better with time because I was placed into that situation. I remember reading El Nuevo Herald en voz alta, and sometimes, with a pencil in between my mouth to help with the accent, and so the R rolled correctly, the right pronunciation. But it was always been a challenge. So now, with iHeart, I've been able to assemble the right group of professionals that represent not every single bandera Latina, but for the most part, I think we're a great combination. There's great chemistry there, and we're very conscious of what we do, and things need to feel good and be organic. And I'm happy, man. It feels great when I'm able to, I can represent the town that I wasn't born here, but I grew up here, and I have a lot of love for Miami and our streets and our people and our culture and our music and our food and everything. And that, that's why we're that box at the bottom of that United States Census Bureau shirt you guys have. So I can still represent that, and at the same time be a voice, not just for the 305, but for Latinos nationally.
Yeah. Well, I want to say on a personal note, because I know we got to wrap it up soon. I want to say on a personal note that one of the things I've always admired from you is that, as I said, whether it's a radio personality or just, in your comedy, is that you've always been a class act. And I think that goes a long way, because it's always very easy to default to just being, whether it's raunchy or being controversial and provocative, very easy to fall in that hole. And you've always, I think, been a real class act, and you've always, whether it's Latinos or Miami, you've always, represented well. So I want to personally thank you for that, because, that's very important, that people like that, that represent other people, be like
positively,
that. So, thank you for that. Class goes a long way.
Yeah.
And thank you. I do got to admit, though, that, at the beginning of my career, things were a little raunchier. Shock jock radio is what I used to. I got into radio.
But that was the times too.
That was the time. Exactly.
You evolved.
I grew up listening, and watching Howard Stern, and he was, he was an inspiration. So I had my fair share of, Newsweek magazine comparing. At one point, as a matter of fact, Newsweek actually called me the Latino Howard Stern.
Well, you have better hair, I'm just going to say.
Career. Huh?
You have much better hair.
Oh, he has longer hair.
It's always looked his always looked oily. I don't know. It's just, you know.
But it was early on in my career that, you know, someone gave me, again, and every day I tell myself I got to be a better listener because I talk a lot. But sometimes that's when you get, so sometimes you got to talk, but you learn. And every day, again, I got to remind myself, keep the funny on. Number 2, I got to remind myself, listen. And number 3, listen more. Keep listening, because when you hear people and you hear their stories, they'll inspire you and they'll bring out the best of you. But you got to be a good listener. And I remember Emilio Stefan at the beginning of my career saying, "Damn, Enrique, you're very funny. I hear you, pero no desperdicies una oportunidad que tienes, que es el poder de ese micrófono. Hay tanta gente que nos están dividiendo. So many people divide us as Latinos. Do things that unite us." And that has stuck with me. That there truly is so many people that enjoy, you know, dividing us and that critique us and that talk down and that stereotype us and treat us like shit. Mm-hmm. So why would we beat up on our own people, on our own artists, on our own politicians, on our own? No, we need to applaud them. We need to empower them, spend time with them. Like you guys, it doesn't matter how big or how small, everyone has something to say. Everyone has, and I applaud you guys. And I'm happy to talk to people that are getting into new areas that they don't know, and they reach out to me because, man, it makes, you know, it's very humbling and it puts things into perspective that, and it's very gratifying that I'm able to inspire other people.
Thank you. And I mean, you know, we could sit here and talk. I mean, I know you're very busy. We could sit here and talk for hours about, you know, the charity work that you do and, you know, your involvement with the Cuban guys' restaurants and just, I mean, just this Mother's Day, I think you're doing something with Lee Schrager for the
over at Lee's house. Yes, and
I mean,
Donna Shala will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing her, and who else? Let's see, the state attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle will be there as well. And I love Lee. He's a great man and always
super nice guy. Super nice guy. We met him a couple months back at an event for Burger Beast, and honestly, tremenda buena gente. Like, just very genuine, and that's something that, you know, like yourself, we always say we like to put the spotlight on people who are doing something positive, you know, because it's very easy to just be like, oh, who's the latest controversial, tú sabes, person in the news, and see if you can get them and extend their 15 minutes. But then what did you do? You know, did you really put the spotlight on somebody who's really achieving things and who puts us all in a good light? And honestly, like, you exemplify the hustle more than anybody else, and that's what we're all about over here. Is, you know, making sure we shine that spotlight on somebody who's not just coasting, who's, you know, always trying to achieve more and, you know, pa'lante. So thank you for that, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate those words, and count on me for whatever it is you guys are doing, and if I can help in any other capacity.
Well, you guys heard it. It's been recorded.
It's on the record.
It's on the record. I know.
I mean it.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you again. Thank you. And well, I know we can, obviously you're on the radio. Where can all of our listeners listen to you? Across multiple platforms through the iHeart app. You are also available, not just your podcast, but your radio show, right?
Right. So we're live every morning from Miami, from the 305.
Nobody ever says from the 786.
All right. And the 305 and the 786. But then if you mention 305, 786, you got to mention 954 and the 561. And there's so many area codes, right? So many different area codes. But from Miami, we are live every morning, and we're syndicated onto 30 different radio stations. From Miami, we're on WZTU 94.9 94.9. FM. And if you go to enriquesantos.com, there's actually a map there.
That's right.
And when you go there, you can pick what state you're in, and it'll tell you where you can hear the show. That's a Spanish radio morning show. Then we're on 100 plus radio stations on the weekends. On my English show, it's called On the Move with Enrique Santos, and that's a lot of fun as well on the weekends. My podcast, Hola, My Name Is, on the iHeartRadio app. You can just download the app. It's free, and put in there, Hola, My Name Is, and it'll pop up, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome. No, I'm sure we will, man. All right. Thank you again, and it's been a pleasure. You know, hopefully we can have you on again in the future.
Let's do it. Thanks a lot, and congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Enrique.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy primavera, mi gente. The flowers are in bloom, the grass is growing, and it's way time to trim that overgrown hedge growing below the belt with some help from Manscaped. Mira, I've been using Manscaped's Lawnmower 3.0 body trimmer for a couple weeks now, and there hasn't been one nick or irritant on these nuts. I mean, what could be better? How about the Perfect Package 3.0? What's a perfect package? Bueno, that's generally a matter of preference, but Manscaped's Perfect Package 3.0 offers everything needed for spring cleaning those tumbleweeds between your legs. It's not just the waterproof cordless Lawnmower 3.0, but an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, which, as a Miami boy, I know the importance of keeping your balls from sticking to your legs just walking from your house to your car. Caballero, hay una humedad del carajo. And thanks to their Crop Reviver spray, your balls will smell fresh as a daisy. And now you can get Manscaped's Perfect Package for 20% less with free shipping by using promo code PERO20. That's right. Use promo code PERO20 at manscaped.com, because who doesn't like paying less for a perfect package? It's time for some spring cleaning. Your balls will thank you.
And we're back.
I will say I love the fact that we were able to do a Zoom call with him, because again, especially somebody who we've never met him in person. So I think it alleviated a lot and facilitated the conversation a little bit more when we could see each other. Ideally, we would have loved to have done it in person, but
Yeah, but he's also one of these people that he's very much about like the energy, right?
God,
so
yes.
It's easier, obviously, to manifest that energy in a Zoom setting than a regular phone call.
Yes,
but,
and that
but
dog
yes,
is so cute.
Yes, but yeah, like he was one of our. We've said this a million times. We had like a short list of people that we wanted on our, we wanted to get on our show, from Gloria Calderón Kellett to Juan Pablo de Pachi, to Gloria Manzano, Jenny Lorenzo, Enrique Santos. Those were all people that we thought perfectly embody what we try to really showcase here on the show, and we had been, wanting them, but. People are busy. People have lives, and it's hard to coordinate sometimes these interviews. So,
But you know what? We're gonna put some things out into the world. So I'm just gonna say Gina Torres, Gloria and Emilio. Gloria and Emilio, Gina Torres.
Gina Torres. I mean, of course, I bow at the throne of Gloria and Emilio. I mean, what Cuban from Miami doesn't?
Right,
well, anybody from Miami doesn't. But I've told you, if we get Gina Torres on this show, I'm going to have to, contain myself, because, I'm going to make the interview about me. About how I love Gina Torres.
And how she should know that you love her.
Right. It's Gina, let me tell you all the reasons why I love you and your character, Jessica Pearson on Suits, the show that I only mention in every episode.
It's true. It's true.
So, anyway.
But you know what else we mention in every episode is our last soda of the desert.
Our last soda. So this week, we've been usually giving our last soda of the desert. We've been giving a combined last soda of the desert.
Yep.
And we've generally been giving it to charities or people that have been doing good during this coronavirus pandemic. But we had to give it this week to, again, an icon, a Miami icon that passed away this week, and that is Don Shula.
Yes.
I don't need to say who Don Shula is, but he was definitely one of these people that
probably
whether
the winningest coach in NFL history.
NFL history, yeah. But whether you were into football or you were not into football, or whether you're a fan of the Dolphins or not, everybody knew who Don Shula was, and he was somebody who was very, very big to our community and to the identity of Miami. And let's not forget, and I'm not going to pretend to be a Miami Dolphins fan. I never really have been. I nothing against them, but I've never really been into football. I've always been into baseball. But nobody can deny the success that what they did in the 70s in 1972. It still remains an unbroken record that they had a perfect season and they won the Super Bowl. So, and that was that. He was the coach during that time. So, these are all moments that go down in history, and he was very much part of that. So,
and I can't think of any of him having any scandals or anything like that. I mean, again, not offhand.
No. I also think he was of another time where people were, you know, in terms of sports, they were about the sport and that's it. You know, it was less about celebrity, more about the sport.
True.
But you know, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, a great loss this week. But we thought, you know, we needed to address that and, you know, give him a last coat, but, you know, honor the legacy that he had to Miami. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, bueno, caballero.
Well, we hope nobody gets stung by a hornet or by the snake that...
Maybe we should all just start breeding praying mantises so we can be prepared.
I won't have a problem. I love praying mantis. So what's the thing about praying mantis? If you see a male praying mantis, it's a virgin.
Well, yeah, because once it
because
mates,
the female, it gets decapitated.
Yeah, Zorak's never done it.
Oh,
yeah.
Virgen, mi hijo es virgen. Whoever knows where that's from. So everybody, that was episode 109. So that means that next week is episode 110. So we'll probably be featuring Tristan, my kid, who counts down to every 10th episode, so he could be on it. So we hope everybody is, you know, stay safe. I would like to say we have the worst behind us. So stay safe.
You know what? It'll only get better. We have to believe that.
Remember, things can only get better.
That's the real Kylie.
As always, you know, as we've been saying, thank you for sticking with us, especially during this time. We hope you listen, laughed, and learned. And remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your jupiña. And thank you for joining us, everybody. Happy Friday, Pero Friday. That was episode 109.
And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lamleplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.